All right. You can title it 4.1 Review. Yes, I've realized we've finished all of the lessons up to 4.6. 4.1 we've done, but not exactly like this. And you do need it for the test, so I do want to go through it with you. You also need it for the quiz. So I need everybody paying attention. Sal, can you face this way for your notes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Do you guys remember from our lesson 4.1, the mid-segment, the theorem that we had? Do you guys remember that?
See, those nuts are about it.
Those notes are what?
What did you see?
Okay. Okay, here it is. It stated that if D is the midpoint of CA and E is the midpoint of CB, then AB is double the length of DE. Do you guys remember that? Yes? So when we had stuff like this, and you had to find X, you doubled the mid-segment and set it equal to the base. There it is again. We doubled the mid-segment and set it equal to the base. Do you see that? We did the same thing here. We doubled the mid-segment and set it equal to the base. The only thing you had to do here is, what's that math word? Distribution. You had to distribute. Okay, and we did the same thing here. Double the mid-segment and set it equal to the base. Why did I not distribute to the x plus 18 on this one? Like this one I distribute to the x minus 8. Why did I not distribute to the x plus 18? Can anybody tell me that? Because that's the base is correct. Good job. I doubled the mid-segment, and that's 2x. And 2 times 2x is 4x. All right, questions on that quick review of what 4.1 was all about? Okay, now we're going to prove this theorem using our formulas. And yes, you will need to know these formulas for the test. Now, this is nothing new because I mentioned to you guys before, it's right here, that you needed to know formulas. And we have this on a white copy as well, but you have this with you. All right. Prove the mid-segment of a triangle is a segment joining the midpoints of two sides of a triangle and is parallel to the third side and half the length of the third side. That's everything we just reviewed when we looked at our notes. All right. Plan. Create a triangle on the coordinate axis. Label the three vertices of the triangle with letters and with coordinates. So I want you to plot L, K, J. Plot and label. Label them L, K, and J. Do that now.
You look like Jesus.
Stop it.
Thank you.
All right, go. Plot.
Did you not go over there?
I didn't.
Why? Hey, they had the jerseys, right? The football jersey. I felt going over there like, can I have one?
That is that.
Why couldn't he get to go? We didn't get to go.
Because he took off on his own. He wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
I want to go on my own.
Yeah. You
So he's getting marked tardy, unexcused tardy.
I'm sorry that comes out of school's paycheck. I'm sorry that comes out of your paycheck.
Doesn't come out of mine. I still get paid.
How does that come out of yours?
No, because like school gets paid for it.
No. Come
All
on,
right.
Cody. Come on.
J is 0, 0. I'm going to call that J. K is 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That is K. And L is 2, 6. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. I am going to use a ruler to connect. If you have a straight edge, you can use the edge of your ID card, the edge of your binder, the edge of maybe like a ruler cover. Okay, does everybody have it? Yes. Hustle. Make sure you sign out. Yes.
Can I use the
I can't see that. Can you zoom in? Whoa, Cody. Watch that.
Guys, these are just using these points right here. So you don't have to copy my picture. If you plot these points, you end up with the same picture. Guys listening? Did you plot them already? We're ready? Okay. Okay, so that was 1A. Part B is asking us to find the midpoint of JL and label it M. Okay, again, it wants us to find the midpoint of JL and label it M. This is exactly what I want it to look like on your quiz, on your test, on any homework. First, you label J and L. And you're going to do that every single time. Why J and L? Because it says right here, find the midpoint of JL. J is 2, 6, and L is 0, 0. Do you guys see that? Yes. Did I label them wrong? Thank you.
Oh my god.
Oh geez. Okay, J is 0, 0, and L is 2, 6. All right, what you're going to do next is apply this formula.
Do you have whiteout?
Yes, she does.
I do somewhere. Yes, it's right here. Okay, so what you're going to do is apply the midpoint formula. How many of you guys remember the midpoint formula from last year or the year before? Salvador, I need you listening up here. Did I see hands up? How many of you remember it from last year, year before? The midpoint formula is right here. Now, will I give it to you on test day? I will not. So you need to work on having this memorized. But it's pretty easy because it's just like finding the average between 2 points. You add them and then cut it in half. You add them and then cut it in half. So you take your x values and you add them. X plus x is 0 plus what? 2. Then I'm going to cut that in half. Comma. Y plus y is going to be 0 plus what?
6.
6. Then I'm going to cut that in half. I want everybody writing this down. And what are we going to call this point? It said to label the point M. What's 0 plus 2? And 2 divided by 2? 1. 0 plus 6? And 6 divided by 2? So I've just found M. And M, again, is the midpoint of JL. And I'm going to plot that. Go over 1, up 1, 2, 3. Now, it should mathematically look like the midpoint as well. I mean, if you end up with a point like over here or way off, you know you've done something wrong. But does that look mathematically correct? Like that could be the midpoint of JL?
Yes.
Okay. Questions? All right, what you're going to do next is the exact same thing, but this time you're going to do it for what side? JK.
JK.
That's this one right here. So what do? Again, you first label the points, and you have to do that. If you do not, you're going to get marked off. Because when you make mistakes, I need to know where you made your mistakes, and it's easier if you label. And there's less room for error if you keep your points with you. So J is 0, 0, and K is 4, 2. And what do they ask us to label? This point up here, they asked us to label M. What are they asking us to label this point? N. It tells us right here to label it N. All right, 0 plus what? 4. Divide by 2. And then 0 plus what? 2. Divide by 2. And this is N. 0 plus 4 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. And what's 2 divided by 2? 1. So I go over 2, up 1, and I label that N. Now, we are not done, but we've gotten almost halfway through. Before I go any further, any questions on anything from the midpoint formula and how to use it? Come test day, will you need to know You add your x's, cut them in half, and you add your y's and cut them in half. Should you know that for the midpoint? Yes. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect MN. Now, mathematically, I need to write your address. Hold on. Mathematically, what do we know about JM and LM? What do we know about JM and LM?
Midpoint.
Because M is the midpoint, definition of midpoint, those two are congruent, yes or no?
Yes.
Because N is the midpoint, what do we know about JN and KN? Congruent. Does that make sense? Is that a yes? What else do we know about the mid-segment and the base? What else do you guys know or remember about the mid-segment and the base? What thing about the length? You guys remember we just reviewed at the beginning. What is it?
Half.
The mid-segment is half the longer side?
Yes.
Yes? Or vice versa? Sorry, I said it incorrect. Except for time and teachers. All right. Okay. What we're about to prove mathematically is what we had in our notes. Please stop the talking. In the notes that I put up a second ago, it said that the mid-segment and its base will be parallel. We're going to prove that. And if you double the mid-segment, it equaled the base. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we're going to try to prove mathematically here. Now, first thing we're going to check if these two lines are parallel. Okay, guys, what do we know about parallel lines? What do you know about the slopes of parallel lines? Anybody?
They're equal.
Thank you. When lines are parallel, their slopes are the same. When lines are parallel, they will have the same slope. You need to know that. It's not the first time we've talked about it. You've heard it in this class before. You've heard it in last year's math class before. Does it make sense that if two lines have the same rise over run, that they will stay parallel all the way through? Yes? Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. Now this formula, again, not the first time you've seen it in this class. Not the first time you've seen it, period. You've seen it last year as well. Subtract the y, subtract the x. Does anybody know how to read this? Triangle y, triangle x?
What do you mean?
Like how to read it mathematically, there's a way to say it. Delta, good job. Delta y over delta x, which means the change in y over the change in x. This is the change right here. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. It says MN and LK are parallel. Find the slope of each segment. Justify mathematically why this is true. This is how we're going to justify it mathematically, by finding the slopes. Don't just look and say, oh, they look parallel. We're going to justify it mathematically. Yes?
Are you laughing, please?
Hustle, please. All right. I'm going to do MN first. I'm going to do the slope of MN. That's where I'm going to start. Slope of MN. So I label M and I label N. Okay, what is point M? Did they give that to us, or is that the point we found?
You found
Found, and what was it?
1, 3.
1, 3. I'm going to box it in so I don't lose it. 1, 3. I'll box the N in as well. Now, if I'm looking for N, is N one of the points they gave me, or is it one of the points I found? One of the points you found. Put your phones away, please, guys. You know better. Let's keep them put away. They should not be out. Put them away. Put your earbuds away. Okay. Now, if you messed up here on these midpoints, is it going to mess you up again here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're taking your time and you're not going so fast you mess everything up. All right. Slope is the change in y over the change in x. I could either do 1 minus 3 or 3 minus 1. It does not matter as long as I'm being consistent. Do you guys want to do 1 minus 3 or 3 minus 1?
3 minus 1.
I heard 1 minus 3 first. I'm sorry. So if I'm doing 1 minus 3, what do I have to do with the x's? 1 minus 2 or 2 minus 1? I have to do 2 minus 1. I have to be consistent. What's 1 minus 3? Negative 2 over what's 2 minus 1? 1. And what's negative 2 over 1? The slope. Negative 2. Is that the same as negative 2? If you want to leave it over 1, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well, because that can actually show the rise and the run. Rise is negative 2 and the run is 1. All right, now I'm going to do the same exact thing, but this time for what line? I just did MN. Now I'm going to do what? LK. So I'm going to label L, and I'm going to label K. Again, guys, I'm going slow so that you can follow and understand and know what I expect out of you when you're doing these on your own. I expect you to label. I expect you to box in. I expect all this work and keeping it clean. Okay, L, was that one of the points we found or one of the given points? 2, 6, is that right? And K is 4, 2. Now you're going to do the same thing. I'm going to label that M over here. M for slope. Now, do you guys want to do for the Y 6 minus 2 or 2 minus 6?
6 minus 2.
Okay, 6 minus 2. And then because I did the L minus the K for the 2 and the 4, can I choose or am I restricted?
Restricted.
I have to do it which way? 4 minus 2 or 2 minus 4? I have to do. I can't pick on that one. Once I've chosen the 6 minus 2, I'm forced to do 2 minus 4. 6 minus 2 is?
4.
And 2 minus 4? And what's 4 divided by negative 2? Is negative 2 the same as negative 2 over 1? Yes? So, did we just mathematically show or prove that MN is parallel to LK? Did we? I'm going to put little parallel markings here. How did we show that they are parallel? We found the what of each line? Slope. How many of you guys don't like doing this work and you just count rise over run in your picture? Now, if you do that on the test, is that okay? It is, but what will I need to see? I will need to see slope of MN is negative 2 over 1. And slope of LK is negative 2 over 1. If you just count and you say negative 2 and this is negative 2, yes, they are parallel, that's not going to work. You will need to write what the slope is. You may not have all of this, but you'll tell me the slope is negative 2 over 1 and I will know that you just counted. You will have the slope is 4 over negative 2, which you will get, and then reduce. You can see that. Down 2 over 1. Down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2, and then you reduce. All right, does that make sense? Yes? Yes. Yes. All right. Now, this is where kids tend to struggle, and I think it's just because the formula is a little harder. We're going to look at the distance formula. All right. Use the distance formula to find the length of MN and the length of LK. MN and LK. Did you have a pass? Okay. All right, use the distance formula to find the length of MN. Length of MN. All right, M and N, and I'm labeling. What is M? Let's look back up here. Is it one of the given or one that we found? And what is it? And going back to what I said earlier, if you mess up here in the first step, everything after is messed up, so be careful. What is N? 2, 1. And we're ready to plug in the distance formula. How many of you guys remember using the distance formula in your last year's math class? Yes? Okay. So, you do D for distance equals the square root of, I like to just set up like the skeleton, quantity squared plus quantity squared, and then I fill in all the meaty pieces after. All right, so here is x minus x. It doesn't matter the order. Do you want to do 1 minus 2 or 2 minus 1? 2 minus 1. Now technically because you're squaring it, bless you, what was that? Because you're squaring it, it doesn't matter for the order of the second one, but I'm going to keep it consistent just so we don't mess up the slope. If I did 2 minus 1, what would I do over here? 1 minus 3. Okay, now you don't square them individually, you have to work it out. What's 2 minus 1? 1, and then you square. You don't square them individually. Plus, what's 1 minus 3? Negative what? 2, and then you square. Again, you don't square the 1 and the negative 3. What's 1 squared? 1 squared is 1. What's negative 2 times negative 2? 4. Now here is where kids tend to mess up. I know you can't fill it in, but at least take it. They say, oh, the square root of 1 is 1 and the square root of 4 is 2, so it's 1 plus 2. Is that correct? No, it is not. The order of operation, you have to add them first. So this ends up, the distance equals being, this ends up being the square root of what? Square root of 5. Any questions? Yes?
Isn't there an easier way to do the distance? Like, isn't there another formula?
Did you guys use like Pythagorean's theorem before?
I think so, yeah.
Yes. I've not done it that way, but if you like it, I'm just gonna try it really quick. 1, 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 1, and then what did you do? Over. Did you make like a right triangle this way? Is that what you did?
I don't know, I was just asking.
Yeah, I think you would make a right triangle, and then you'd figure out this length and that length, and then you do a squared plus b squared equals this length here would be your distance. So if you liked it that way, yeah. If you liked it that way, then you're more than welcome to use it that way. Typically, in class, I will be doing it this way. But the distance, using the quadratic formula does work as well. Okay. What? All right. So now we're going to do the same process, but this is going to be the length of what? We just did the length of MN. Now we're going to do the length of LK. Now, what do we know about MN and LK? LK should be how much bigger than MN? From prior knowledge, what do we know? That LK, the longer side, should be how much bigger than MN?
2 times.
2 times, twice as big. All right, so let's see if that happens. Okay, so I label L and K, and yes, you guys have to label these points over and over in each section. Okay, what is L? 2, 6. And what is K? 4, 2. Okay. distance equals the square root of quantity squared plus quantity squared. Again, I like setting up the skeleton first and then filling the meaty pieces in after. All right. Formula is x minus x. Do you want to do 2 minus 4 or 4 minus 2?
4 minus 2.
4 minus 2. Now, again, you don't have to be consistent on this one, but I'm going to just so we don't mess up the slope later. If I did 4 minus 2 for the x, what will I do for the y? 2 minus 6. And I want us to get used to squaring negatives as well. What's 4 minus 2? 2 squared plus what's 2 minus 6? Negative 4 is correct. Good job. And squared. And 2 squared is positive 4. And negative 4 squared in parentheses like this means negative 4 times negative 4, which is 16. And this ends up being the square root of 20. Now, we're not going to use calculators for this. How many of you guys just plugged this in your calculator last year and got a decimal? Okay, we're not going to do that this year. We're going to do it a little different, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. And I need everybody paying attention because it's different from what you've done in the past. Everybody listening? Everybody's paying attention because it's different from what you've done in the past. I will tell you this. You will make a factor tree, just like you did back in like 4th, 5th, 6th grade elementary school. Break it up to its prime factors. Okay, what does 20 break up into? 10 and 2 or 4 and 5. I don't care which one you use. What does 4 break up into? Okay. Now, can I go any smaller than 4 and 2? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, how many 2's do I have? How many 5's do I have? Okay. Square root, you take out pairs, correct? Like the square root of 25 is 5 because it's 5 times 5. Yes or no? Square root of 9 is 3 because it's 3 times 3. Okay, so this pair comes out not as 4 but just as 2, and the root 5 stays in. I am going to repeat that. Why does it come out that way? Can you guys just focus there? What's 2 times 2? And what's the square root of 4? 2. So it comes out as just 2 because the square root of 4 is 2. 5 by itself, can 5 by itself come out? No, it would need a 5 there to make it 25, and square root of 25 is 5. But since it has no pair, it stays alone inside the radical. So, the square root of 20 is 2 root 5. Does that make sense? Let's, just for practice sake, let's try another one. Let's try the square root of 18. Okay, so you don't have to write this down. You're just looking up here with me. Square root of 18. Can you guys help me out? What does it break up into? 9 and 2. 9 is 3 and 3. Can I go any smaller?
No.
Nope. How many 2's?
1.
How many 3's?
2.
And I circle pairs. Do I have any pairs?
Yeah.
Does this come out as 9 or just as 3?
3.
Just 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. And what's the square root of 9? 3. And what happens with the 2? It stays inside. 3 root 2. Make sense?
Yeah.
No? Let's try another one then. Let's try square root of 24. What does 24 break up into? 6 and 4. 4 is
2.
and 6 is 2 and 3. All right, how many 2's do I have?
3.
How many 3's? Now, I can only circle pairs, so do all 3's get circled? No, just this set right here. And does it come out as 2 or 4?
4.
2, because it's the
2.
square root of 4. And what's the square root of 4? 2. Root, does this have a pair?
No.
Does that have a pair?
No.
It stays in. So what's 2 times 3? 6. You added. Be careful. All right. Does that make sense?
Just keep it there for a second. Somebody who's talking.
All right. We're going to do more of these. This is not like it, and it's on the test. We will be getting more practice. But I would like to go back to the notes and check if it ended up doubling. What did we say? That LK should be how much bigger than MN? I'll repeat the question.
2 times.
2 times as big. LM should be twice as big as MN. LK, twice as big. Let's see. LK, or I'm sorry, MN is root 5, and LK is double 2 times root 5. Did LK end up being twice as big? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Do you see that? Root 5, double root 5 is 2 times root 5. We've proved mathematically that this length is twice as big as this length. Does that make sense? Yes? All right. MN is half the length of LK. Explain mathematically from your work in Part E why this is true. We don't talk about half. We use double, so ignore the half and just somehow in here, in your own words, explain that 2 root 5 is twice or double the length of root 5. That's what you're writing here. Go. You're writing. LK is 2 root 5. The length of MN is root 5. And 2 root 5 is double root 5. Writing down in your own words. You don't have to use the word half. You can use the word double. In your seats, please. And you're writing down. Gentlemen.
Trying to get there.
Writing down? I haven't seen you write anything down.
I'm turning.
And if anybody says anything, just say I let you. All right. Are we good? So what are you explaining here? You're going to tell me what the length of MN is. You're going to tell me what the length of LK is. How much bigger is LK in comparison to MN? And does this follow what we know about the mid-segment theorem? Make sense? No?
Yeah.
All right. Questions? Okay, we are going to move on. I'm going to tell you what I want you to do with this. So, hold on. We're going to move on because we have the review to go over and the quiz to take. Please stop. So part of tonight's homework is the backside on your own. Part of tonight's homework is the backside on your own. So am I going to do that with you right now?
No.
No. I am done with this front page. Any questions?
Wait, so on F?
Uh-huh. Oh, you would say MN equals root 5. And what was this? LK? LK equals 2 root 5. And you could say, now this is where in your own words you would say 2 root 5 is double or twice the length of root 5. That's what you would put in your words.
It's okay to put LK is double the length of N.
Yes. So LK is double MN, or the length of MN. Yes. Oh. All right. Questions? Okay, we're good.